Trier. Sper că să fie ok cu toată lumea, că noi să vorbim în engleză astăzi, pentru că avem participanți în toată lumea, așteptați care sunteți aici. Dar, dacă e mai ușor cu cineva să vorbește în română, vă rog să simți confortabil cu asta, vorbește în română, maghiar, norvegiană, suedez, orice avem nevoie de, we will find a way of understanding each other. So, the first thing I would like to say is thank you to everybody who has joined us here today. As I shared just a few moments ago, thank you for coming to this meeting, which is incredibly important, and thank you for everything we've been doing over the last days to respond to the current situation. We're meeting here on a Monday morning. Most of us would normally be going to work or waking up with a coffee or doing whatever you do on a Monday morning. And we're doing this in a moment where there is a war in Europe in 2022. This should not be happening, but it is. And in addition to what we're going to be discussing today, which is the very practical, immediate coordination of humanitarian response, I cannot stress enough how important it is for every single one of us to realize what this moment means for us in Europe and in the world, and to rededicate ourselves a millionfold to building a peaceful future in Europe and in the world. And working for a peace institute, and we have some incredible colleagues here in the room also with years of experience in peace building. Anyone who wants to know more about that, we will continue on this in the long term, and please connect with us. And you've probably also seen the pictures in Ukraine just from yesterday as well. Civilian nonviolent action, people surrounding tanks, unarmed, and preventing. This is one of the most important things we can do today also. Get out the messages and support for massive, total non-cooperation and non-violent action, which makes any occupation impossible. But what we are here for today is to focus very practically on how to coordinate humanitarian efforts in response. The response from across the country has been incredible. I think some of you have seen there's been many different organizations saying we're collecting goods. People have been going up to the front. Yesterday I was at our office, one of the collection centers at Yondipa 28, and you could just see this constant stream of people coming along from the park to the office with goods. People coming in cars, coming in giant vans, companies reaching out to us asking how we can help. And that spirit of all of us being involved and wanting to see how we can help is incredibly important. But it can also bring a danger and a risk. And we've already been hearing this from our partners in communities all across the border where people are coming in. Because if people are jumping in their cars and going to the front because they want to see how they can help, you are clogging the roads, you are using gas, you are duplicating efforts, and you're taking more time for those who are there to receive it. The spirit is wonderful, and we need to support that. But in 2022, with all the intelligence we have in the city and in our different organizations and expertise for how we organize, how we coordinate, how we plan things, that's what we need to do. And we need to see how to do it better. So, if we're wondering who called this meeting, what is this about? This meeting is about exactly what it says. It's an open coordination meeting. It is for any effort, any organization, everyone that is involved. There was already a meeting yesterday that was organized by the City Hall. This was an excellent step. The City Hall identified and brought together the major organizations, and they were open to anyone that they knew who was actively involved already in providing humanitarian support. And they're moving forward. A WhatsApp group has been created. They're putting up information on the website. They're doing everything they can. And we want to complement that with spaces that reach out to the wider community and to Ukrainian citizens who are here in Cluj with us, and to civilian volunteer efforts, so we can have that transparency, the information flow, and the coordination. I've spoken too much. My apologies for that, but just to let you know what we're going to do. A brief update, and I mean brief, on the humanitarian situation right now. There's some people who will provide that. If there is any information they haven't said, and if you know something that is just very summary of the situation now, we'll give a few minutes for further updating. This is not about telling what your organization is doing or sharing that information. This is about super brief, getting updates on the situation. So if it's been said, we don't repeat it. We only add in whatever is additional, and we'll have a space for that. Then immediately after that, we're just flagging for your attention that we have put QR codes on the sheets that you have. One is for organizations, one is for individual volunteers. What we would ask is that we fill those out online instead of the old-fashioned everyone writing by hand and someone having to collect it after. Fill it in online so that we can make sure you are included in all information after, and that we can see if there are 5 people that are shipping things to the front, we coordinate together. If there are different organizations that are providing storage and collection centers, here include, we coordinate it together. We've been in touch just now walking in here with Endava. We're also communicating with the IT cluster to look at what do we need in terms of, for example, a website, so that anyone in Cluj who wants to support can see what is the collection center nearest to them, and all information is transparent. So please do fill that in as our tool to make sure everyone receives the information out. We're going to have the information now shared on the situation, and then after that, we're going to ask you to choose which task force you want to go into. We've identified 6 different task forces for the moment. The first is on coordinating humanitarian supplies. This one will cover coordination of understanding what is needed. There's a constant flow of information from civilian organizations in Ukraine, from hospitals, from the centers on the border. We want to look at how do we manage that information so it's all collected together. How do we share that information out so everyone knows in real time what the needs are? And then we're going to look at how do we coordinate on collection centers in Cluj and on transport to the front so that that's done in the most efficient way possible. Task Force 1, whoever wants to join it, is on coordination of humanitarian supplies. We have 2 different task forces on refugee support. The first task force on refugee support, the numbers have been increasing significantly since yesterday afternoon of people coming across the border. We need to understand what are their immediate needs. There are people at the border at the front, and for the moment they say they don't need more help, but they may need more help quickly, so we need to prepare for that. We're looking at what are the needs when people arrive, how do we make sure that they are instantly supported. To give you one idea, Andy Deisler and the team at Deisler are going to print gigantic billboards all across the border in Ukrainian, telling people they're welcome, telling people we're here for them, and with QR codes, so that they can go to the brilliant websites that Code for Romania has been setting up, so that they can get all the information they need and know where they can get help. But we also need to look at a coordinated, how can we help people get here? And then when they are here, I have received about 200 people saying, I have a bed, I have a room, I have a house, I have a hotel. But we need that coordinated. So look at how we coordinate for when they're here. All of those aspects are the first refugee support group. The second refugee support group is for how we can do everything possible to support them in the best human way possible. We have a number of people in this room who worked in international emergencies or humanitarian aid and development. I've been at refugee camps in war zones and in neighboring countries all over the world. And while they've gotten a lot better, very often you have the place where you sleep, you have the place where you shit, you have the place where you shower, and you have food. And that is effectively it. There's nowhere that keeps you as a human being. There's nowhere that really engages, at least in the first emergency response, with the needs for children. We have psychosocial support in this community. There will be families coming, at least at the moment, women and children coming over. We want to understand how we provide the best support for them. And that is what the Refugee Support Group 2 is about. Group 4 is about how we really coordinate in Cluj. We need to keep it simple, we need to keep it transparent, we need everyone to feel that they're able to be involved, but this is going to be an ongoing process. Now, this is a real-time situation. We may find out that there's a ceasefire by the afternoon, we may find out that the war escalates and gets worse. When you're planning in an emergency humanitarian response, you do not plan for what you hope will happen. You do your best, but you prepare for the worst. So if we over-prepare and by next week none of this is needed, brilliant. But now we want to put in place so that we prepare. And the reality is, even if the fighting stops, this is going to be a long-term process to support rebuilding and to get involved as citizens in Europe to secure peace. Peace is too important to leave to politicians and generals. It needs all of us to get involved with this now. Coordination, how we set it up, how we do it transparently, what are the simple processes. 4, making sure we link with IT because we can do that much better. 5, solidarity actions include, many of you took part Friday night, Saturday night at the peace vigils in the center of the city. We want to look at how we keep things like that going. We want to look at, can we have something that stores to put in their windows to show people support. Deisler is printing for free pins that everyone can have to show their support. We had an idea of doing movie nights that show films from Ukraine, one of the most incredibly talented areas of film production, where people can come together and see that Ukraine is so much more than just a war. And where we can discuss, we can come together, and we can see how we can support further. Solidarity actions is number 5. And 6 is fundraising and donations. What we do not need now is every single organization separately reaching out to every single company in Cluj and asking them, can you give us money? We need a coordinated way in which companies can become involved as partners, see the way they can support, track what they are giving to make sure it's going where it should go, and to do that transparently and efficiently. So, please review these. If you don't have one of these, we can go around and hand out some more. If we have anyone, thank you. Can we just take these around, please? And then I'm going to ask my colleague Andriana. Where is Andriana? Andriana? She was here. So we're going to ask Andriana to come and provide a briefing. She's been coordinating with the Center for National Refugee Support, with the government, and with organizations on the front. And she's going to come and speak about the situation now. Was here a moment ago? I'm not sure.
On the groups, we should be to talk about this legal counseling to provide to all the people that are in the airport or at the train station, bus stops, and so on, because they are going to all different cities. A lot of people have said they want to go to Bucharest, to the embassy, so they don't know how to arrive there because they might be students, they don't speak the language, and so on. Also, we have collected a lot of donations at Patria, but because we have limited space, we would like to have a bigger space. For instance, in Sighet, they will have this gym room where the space is open and it could be selected like food, water, other supplies. So this will be very important. Yesterday was mentioned with the city hall this discussion, but we would like to see which are these locations, because a lot of are doing. For instance, Lado is doing, Patria is doing, and also other organizations are doing. So we would suggest to discuss about this common space where people should know that they could go there. What else? There's a huge need with transportation. Right now, this is some updates because we went by our personal car in the first phase. We had a van, but the personal car you cannot put so many things, so it's a bit lack of, let's say, senseless to go by your car to put, I don't know, 3 bags and so on. So it's very important to have this logistical transportation, big vans, trucks, or whatever. It will be important to have it. Also, we received information that apart from Sighet, there are other entry points where there are no volunteers, like how it's called, I forgot the name. No, yes, Bătășan, Albița, or how's it called, the entry point? Yes, but there they need a lot of people. They don't have no one there. For instance, at Sighet, everyone went there with food, tea, coffee, whatever, but there's no one, and people are getting crazy because they were not prepared to receive in that point of area. So today we called Isu, and they were, really, we didn't know. So it's a bit of lack of coordination in Skywood, because all of us want to do something, but we don't come together. This is why it's very important today to work with this group. And if you are interested in donation, to get in touch with everyone who is interested in doing this. If you are interested in housing to talk and to share contacts, because we receive like thousands of phones, emails, chats, messages, and so on, but it's very chaotic, and this will not help us to go on the same line. I think briefly, this is what we
I
have.
would say let's dive into the actual working groups. So when we get into the task forces now, if that is okay, it can be great to just start with really short introductions, just to very briefly know who we are. But what I would ask is, let's not make long speeches about every list of what our organization is doing. In this space, we need to just more practically focus on discussing the issues together. So if you want to update in 20 seconds, that's okay, but not more than 20 seconds. Does that sound okay for everyone?
Yeah.
All right. Also, let's try and practice non-dominating cooperation when we're in the group. So meaning, make sure we let everyone be able to speak, that we do it collectively, collaboratively, not have someone who talks way too much, talking the whole time during the thing, but that we work practically.
We were thinking to have here in this room 2 groups, working groups, in another room, another working group, and so on, just to don't stay all together in the same place. We will, according to your emails, will tell you which is the place we will be.
So what we're having, you'll see, is these signs are put up along the walls, along the way. They tell you what working group is where. We would ask that the first working group on coordination of humanitarian supplies will meet at the back of this room. Working group 2 on refugee support, arrival, immediate needs, transport to Cluj, and housing will meet at the front of the room here. Working group 3 on refugee support 2, psychological, legal, support for families, will meet in that room immediately after. And it goes 1, 2, 3, and continues on. We will bring flip chart for everyone. Please, someone whose handwriting is better than mine, write down the core things you're discussing. And in your group, choose someone who will report back after, so that we can get a summary report from all the groups and know what's happening together. That summary report should be short. 3, 4, 5 minutes maximum. Tell us all the core of what you discussed and what you decided. In the meeting now, we're going to start with 30 minutes in the groups to be discussing and planning. We need more than that. We will be going around to the groups and asking. But let's try and use the time well and see together and discuss. Does this sound okay for everybody?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Let's make this happen. Working group 1, working group 2. Markers are up at the front. Flip side paper.
Has also